guys, we're gonna get it going. Can we hear my voice?
Or mine.
Or Karin's voice? Or the chink of a glass? That was kind of a dull chink, wasn't it? Can you guys hear us? I'm not gonna go until I get a thumbs up.
Is this affirmative yet?
Please. Yes!
Oh,
okay.
Thank goodness.
My heart stopped a little bit. There's a little delay, right? So good. Hey, you guys. Welcome to Wild in the Galley. I'm Richie.
I'm Karin.
And we're gonna do some really fun stuff today.
A little unconventional, too.
A little unconventional. We
Yeah.
talked about this last class, and so I'm excited that we can do it now. Like I said, I'm Richie. I'm the digital culinary video director at Sitka Salmon Shares. I've been with this company for like 5 years, and I'm kind of in charge of these classes and then the Wild at Home show, if you guys have seen that. And Karin, I don't know if you want to talk about yourself at all.
Yeah, I am opening a restaurant.
Yes.
I just came from a big construction scene, actually. It's
You're in Minneapolis, we should say.
Yep,
right?
yep, in St. Paul, actually, but just across the river from Minneapolis. And it's a small restaurant called Muriel. I've been doing takeout through the pandemic, and now I'm very excited and a little terrified to actually open, but mostly excited.
Well, I've been hearing lots of news about it. It's been fun to hear the updates.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like June, right? June-ish?
Yeah, end of June,
June-ish.
Definitely July.
Yeah, awesome. We want to welcome all of our members in. We'll make this little intro as short as possible, but I do want to say welcome you guys, supporters of Sitka Salmon Shares, and then welcome some really great folks from Field Company, which is a company that makes this incredible, beautiful cast iron that we're going to be using. And we invited a bunch of their friends and followers into this class. So welcome, Field Company. You guys are in good company. We're going to use your cast iron. Thanks so much for blessing us with this beautiful metal. It's really awesome.
It is.
I want to go over a couple things, so just bear with me for a minute. If you guys want to use the chat, which we see a lot of you doing, you do need a Google or YouTube account. So if you haven't figured that out already, I do apologize. So if you can't access it because you don't have one of those accounts, then just, I'll put this on the screen here, just email cookingclass@sitkasalmonshares.com with any questions that you might have. I don't write them down as you go through class, or just send an email. And we'll get to them eventually. Otherwise, drop them in the chat. And we have our very talented culinary director, Grace Parisi, in the chat, as well as my good friend and our director at Member Delight, John Clark. So they're in there, and they can answer as many questions as they can. So please drop those in there. And if you're new to Sitka Salmon Shares, or if you're new because you're from Field Company, say hi. I see a lot of you guys. I see people from Kansas and Florida, obviously Wisconsin, Minnesota, Texas I saw in there, Denver, Colorado. Thanks, guys. But yeah, say hi. Introduce yourself. What else? So this is going to be, well, let me give you my quick 30-second elevator speech about Sitka Salmon Shares if you're not familiar with what we do, if you're from Field Company or otherwise. Sitka Salmon Shares is a community-supported fishery, and we bring small boat, responsibly harvested seafood from the beautiful waters of Southeast Alaska and a little further north up into Kodiak to our members in their homes all across the U.S. So it's a direct-to-consumer, no smoke and mirrors, transparent supply chain, and we process all of our own fish, either in our own plant or with our trusted partners, and we take care of every step of the process. So it's just a really great way to know your fishermen. Our fishermen, many of them are owners of our company as well. So if you love seafood, if you're not familiar with us, I would suggest going to sitkasalmonshares.com and learning a little bit about what we do. If it makes sense, check it out.
If I can add in a little plug,
please
too.
Plug away.
I would say I've kind of stopped getting fish at a grocery store, even a good one where I know it's sourced well. I just like the personal connection that I know that is there with Sitka Salmon Shares. And I love the product. It's been great.
We hold our customer service to a very high standard. So, yeah, thanks for saying that. So About 40 minutes is what we're going to shoot for this class. And this is a really fun, active recipe. So maybe we go over by 5-10 minutes. If we do, if you need to leave, that's fine. We might end up short, and that's fine too. We'll just keep drinking our martinis here and having a good time. Either way, about 40 minutes is what we're in our seats for. And then, the last and probably the most exciting thing, well, next to this recipe, is we're going to be giving away a couple prizes. One of them is going to be a fish box. So an undisclosed species, but it will be from Sitka Salmon Shares, one fish box, 4.5 pounds or so. We'll draw a winner for that. And then we're also giving away a cast iron pan from Field Company. So
that's exciting.
Super exciting. This is their number 8. I think that's their number 10 or 11. I'm not sure which size it is, but it's going to be a great size. So somebody's going to win both of those things, or 2 people will win both of those things. We'll do that throughout the class. So enough on the pleasantries in that way. Let's jump into what is a really great and kind of a mouthful of a recipe. I was writing it down on the board back there, if you can see it in my little writing. Polenta crusted sablefish with herb and olive gremolata.
Yes.
And confit potatoes.
Yes.
Knocked it out of the park.
Good job.
All right. So sweet. So let's jump into it. What do we want to start with first?
Well, I am starting with the gremolata, which traditionally is basically parsley and some lemon, olive oil, and garlic. You could sub in other herbs if you have it, but I love parsley. I love the bitterness that it brings, and it's going to go great. That'll be a great contrast. That bitterness that comes from parsley will be a great contrast with the kind of sweet, velvety potatoes and the sweetness of the corn that's going to be on the sablefish. So we're going parsley all the way. If you have an abundance of cilantro or something else, you could throw that in. But we're staying pretty classic.
Yeah, so we could switch it up with cilantro if we wanted to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then this is, I mean, you could also do basil. It's not really gremolata at that point. It's, you know, a little bit of, it's pesto.
Ooh. Yes.
So, which is pesto without the nuts or the cheese in this case. But anyway, I am chopping some garlic. And I already have my parsley pile over there. That was like a whole head of parsley.
You said you were going heavy with the parsley.
Yeah, I love parsley. Ask any of my cooks at the restaurant, and they'll be like, yeah, we always have to have parsley on the line. But
I love parsley too.
It's great.
And you said that we're going to go, don't be afraid of the garlic, right? Because it's going to balance out. And how does that balance out with the rest of the dish?
Well, it will make it a little spicy, actually. And so that's why I'm going to use not the strongest, best olive oil. I'm going to use kind of a middle of the road olive oil, because olive oil actually is a little spicy, or can be a little spicy too. And so we're using a milder olive oil with this. But as it sits, even just for the few minutes that it's taking us to prepare the dish, it's going to kind of mellow out a little bit.
Sure.
And, but like I said, same with the bitterness of the parsley, the sweetness of the potatoes, the rich fattiness of the fish, and the sweetness of the corn. It's going to be a nice contrast. A little garlic kick will be a good little contrast.
That stuck with me when you said that, because in terms of like buttery, succulent fish, we're dealing with probably the creme de la creme of that, which is sablefish. And those of you in our share program, you have probably had sablefish, or you're getting it this last month in May. So this is going to be a really fun way to do something different with sablefish, which is a breading of sablefish,
right?
Which isn't necessarily something we normally do with an oily fish. So it's a fun experiment.
We wanted to try it out though, just as a different way of doing it. We're actually going to skin it too, even though yes, it has lovely skin.
Yes.
This is a great way to prepare it. That is kind of it. Actually, the way that it's crusted will help the cooking process. It's kind of a foolproof way to do that. Yeah. And it's also just makes it more approachable. It's a different texture. You know, if you're kind of like making it for someone who's less used to fish, this is a really great way to do it.
I love it. Yeah, and sablefish is one of those outlier fish, right? That if you're not used to a lot of seafood, sablefish might be a little scary. So this is kind of a nice blend where if you like, if you're from the Midwest, let's say that, because that's what I know. Fish fries, right? Breaded fish, light,
orange
flaky fish.
roughy.
Yes.
Frozen at the grocery store, tilapia.
Right.
Yeah.
All those things get breaded just on an everyday basis, but not necessarily the sablefish.
Yeah.
And now, so you're doing a super fine chop.
Yep. So I actually put the garlic in with the parsley. I'm kind of like blending them together a little bit. You could do a rough chop too, but I kind of got on a roll here.
Yeah,
so I just kept going.
Go to town. Don't stop.
But now I'm going to stop. I'm going to put it in the bowl right here.
Okay.
And I'm also going to add some salt. When I say some, I mean
a lot.
You know, a good couple healthy pinches, and then I'm not going to pepper. No, we're going to put a little bit of that, and it won't hurt anything. But we'll put that in with the polenta instead. Okay. But like I said, the garlic is going to be a little spicy instead, so it doesn't necessarily need the black pepper. Right. I'm also going to, you could add these on top at the very end, but right now we might as well just add our Castelvetrano olives. That makes it not exactly a gremolata, but we're being a little flexible here. So
because we can.
We can.
And if you're cooking in your home kitchen, flexibility is what it's all about. Whatever you got, as long as it's, you're not chopping up pickles, I think you'll probably be okay. Maybe even pickles would be okay.
Then we can go the remoulade route, but we're not doing that tonight.
Yes.
So I'm chopping up Castelvetrano olives. If you don't like olives, this is the olive to try. It tastes kind of like almondy. It's a little nutty. It's not super like briny in an offensive way. Right. I think
it doesn't take you back when you eat it. It's nice and smooth.
No, it doesn't smell like an old shoe. I have a couple dear friends who really don't like olives, and they are working their way into the world of olives. And this is the gateway. Olives? This is the gateway olive.
Oh my God. Do you guys not like, is anybody out there that doesn't eat olives?
Well,
you guys are monsters.
I'm a chef, and I didn't for the first good chunk of my life.
I'm sorry. I'll take my statement back.
I know
nothing.
And then I realized that the rest of the world loved them, and maybe there was something to it. So I learned to love them as well. But okay.
A little rougher chop with that.
Rougher chop. We want the texture of the olive in there.
Okay.
And so I have the parsley, the garlic, the olive in there, a little bit of salt. And now I'm going to add some of our middle of the road olive oil.
So middle of the road olive oil, right? You don't need to go and buy the most expensive olive oil for this. And the reason for that is what, Karin?
Well, because it doesn't need to, it's not going to be a great place to showcase a really beautiful olive oil. It is going to, there are so many other flavors going on here. We're going to add lemon. We're going to add, we have the spiciness of the garlic. So if you have a really fine olive oil, by all means, go for it. But it's not, it will get a little bit lost here. So I'm just using kind of a utilitarian, decent cooking olive oil here. And, it is what it is. And now I'm going to take a lemon.
A monster lemon.
A monster lemon. Wow. And first take the label off, because that's a good idea. And then give it a little rinse.
Did anybody out there make the gin martini? Drop a comment in. This is all. What was I trying to say?
It's new.
This is my first. What am I saying? Maybe I've had too much. I've only had 2 sips. This is my first actual gin martini that I made, and I think I did a pretty good job.
In my opinion,
it's not bad.
2 to 1, 2 parts gin, 1 part dry vermouth, a dash of orange bitters.
Yes.
Followed up, just diluted, stirred in some ice, and then a little lemon peel as a garnish is like the perfect little martini.
It's very tasty.
Okay, so I zested a little bit of the lemon in here, so you can borrow your lemon that you use for your martini garnish.
That's what you're talking about. Or your olives, if you want to do a little olive in your martini.
Exactly. You can go either way. And then I'm going to give it a healthy squeeze. This is a very large lemon, so I used about a quarter of it. But this quarter of lemon is about the equivalent of another half a lemon. I also love lemon. It's always on my line when I'm cooking. I'm going to give it a little stir, let it think about itself. And I put in just enough olive oil to kind of get all of these ingredients wet, just to cover them. But we don't want it this isn't exactly a sauce. It's more like how you'd think of maybe like chimichurri.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's what,
Yeah. So.
Can I try?
Absolutely.
I'll tell you what it needs.
Okay, please do, because I haven't tried it yet. Do we need more salt?
I think lemon? A little more lemon.
Yes, good. I love adding more lemon to things.
You didn't overdo it with the parsley. It's really, really nice. Go heavy on your parsley. It really comes together with everything. It's not too much.
And I will say, when you're adding lemon to anything with herbs, you want to do that when you're really close to serving it. Like if you're doing a pesto, a lot of times if I'm doing it ahead of time, I'll leave the lemon out and add it right before I'm ready to use it. Or else it will break the herbs down and will discolor them. So we like bright colors. It's a little,
Cool.
Okay, so now we've got our gremolata. It can just think about itself for a little bit. We're going to get those confit potatoes kind of rolling slowly over here. I have this beautiful cast iron on a kind of low to medium heat, emphasis on the low. These potatoes right here are little gold potatoes. I confit them in a little bit of oil. And I can show you right here. And I hang on to oil that I confit things in. It can also be animal fat that you've rendered. It can be all sorts of things. And you can reuse it and just refrigerate it, strain it, reuse it. It's a great way to use it. I think that I chose oil over water for these potatoes because it really seals in some of that moisture and enhances the velvety texture. This is going to be a very decadent between the velvety fish and the velvety potatoes. It's going to feel very rich.
But then you pop it out with this.
But then it's like super bright with that, and then we're also adding some bitter greens. So there's a lot of contrast in this dish, which is why I'm excited about it.
And before you jump there, what kind of oil? Does it matter? Is it at all?
You know, you can do, I would typically use just a neutral oil like canola. You can do grapeseed. Perfect. I also love working with pork fat that's been rendered, or chicken fat, duck fat. I mean, you can use any of those things, like use all of whatever you have. And in the bigger potatoes here, I'm going to just cut them in half. We're going to kind of smash them in the pan. And you can also smash them on your cutting board with your hand. I'm not going to do that today.
So we had a question from, and I doubt this is your real name, Realty Markets Property Channel. I'm sorry, if you don't have your real name, drop it in there, let us know. But a really good question. I'm always concerned about fish sticking to my cast iron pan. And we're doing potatoes right now, but I mean, it really kind of applies to, right? That is a legit concern. I think a lot of it has to do with the quality of your cast iron. If you're going to get a lodge or something like that, you know, probably good for, not as good, I'll say that, right? So you're going to have more sticking. A smooth, light pan without like these little tiny micro dimples and stuff in it, that's kind of what you want to look for. And that's what Field Company does with they're actually a Minnesota based company here, and they spend a lot of time building beautiful, smooth, extra light cast iron.
You definitely want to use and when I say heavier, I mean thicker than like a lodge pan. Sorry, not to hate on lodge. I have lodge pans too.
I have lodge pans too. They're right there.
But it just for this purpose, like a very smooth, surface is good, and something that has a little bit that will hold the heat longer that you can use. I also would say don't cook on too high of a heat with fish. Bring it up from a low temperature, and then as you're going, you can kind of slide it around a little bit too. It'll start to cook, get a little crust on the outside, or start to cook the outside, and then leave it alone. It'll take care of itself.
Great tip. Awesome. And so these are super low, right? You're gonna let these
they're like low, kind of want to be.
They're having a martini,
They're having a martini, and then I'm gonna just smash them a little bit with a spatula, and they're just gonna have a crust. They can just think about themselves. I mean, these guys can go for like 20 minutes like this, and they will only get better. You don't want too much oil in there either, but enough that they can absorb a little bit of it. When you cook them in oil like I did, they're not greasy. It just traps the liquid in the potato. When you think about water and oil, what that does, it just like keeps the water in the potato.
Yeah. That's a great way to define that, right? Because it would be a fear like, oh my God, I'm going to have the greasiest.
No, but dude, look at that.
Yeah.
That's just its natural
fluffy,
moisture
it's
in
beautiful.
there.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay.
So we're going to let those chill.
Yep.
Well, we're going to let them warm.
Warm. But they're very relaxed.
So relaxed.
Okay, and so then we have this pan starting to heat up a little bit, I think, right? Yep.
Ever so slowly.
Yep, and that's kind of, on our magic kind of low to medium, but towards the low heat realm. And we are going to tackle our fish.
The fish. All right, let me switch up to and get back to the main view here. So fish, you guys, where we got? So we're blessed with. Here, I'll get this. Do you want to use the?
Oh yeah, perfect. I'll just slide this right on top.
Awesome.
So the fish that you get will have the skin on. And for these purposes, we're trying to make this a little bit more approachable. We're trying to make it, and I personally don't really like fish that's been breaded and then has its skin on it. It's kind of a surprise that if you're not really expecting it.
Unless it's sunfish where you're just like,
oh yeah, then it's like, it's not even worth skinning
no.
sunfish.
Potato
ever.
chips, it's,
no.
yeah, it's incredible,
So I'm going to just show you really quick how I am using a thin knife. You can use a boning knife. This is just a thin fillet knife. I'm grabbing the smallest end of the tail, pressing it down with my fingers, finding the spot right below. So I'm kind of pulling this taut with my left hand and sliding it gently, my knife hand to the right because I'm right-handed. This is the opposite if you are left-handed. And then we just have a nice little fish skin. And
I'd say the biggest trick to that is pulling that skin while you slide the knife.
Yes.
It's going to create tension. It's going to come right off. And this is so buttery and oily that it's just like pops
oh yeah,
right
it's like
off.
honestly very easy. It's very gratifying to take the skin off.
It is. Yeah. So you guys all get your Sablefish with skin on, and now don't throw that skin away.
No.
Fry it up, a little butter, a little salt, easy peasy, and crumble it on top.
That actually would be a really great garnish on top of this dish.
Crusty, delicious.
Wish I thought about that earlier.
Yeah. Well, we didn't.
Oh, well. Can't win them all.
We blew it.
Okay.
Class is over.
These other ones, these are kind of long fillets. I'm going to just simply cut them in half. And you'll notice, we'll talk a little bit about this as we cook the fish, but they're all kind of different sizes. Yeah. I'm actually going to just do, well, I might as well.
I'm hungry.
Yeah, okay, well, we're going for it then.
Let's do it.
Yep, and then that'll be good for us to talk about what to do when you have fish that are different sizes.
Yes. Because you guys will all be getting different fillets, different sizes of fillets. Some are going to be thin, some are going to be thick. We'll cover some tips. Karen has some awesome tips for that.
Okay.
All right, so
now we've got a little bit of egg. Now we are doing a very age-old basic breading technique. In French cooking terms, this is called an anglaise, which is also a cooking term for a lot of other things, like making custard, and I don't really know why that's for this, but it is. So it's basically a 3-step process. You take a wet piece of meat, you dredge it lightly in a little bit of flour. If you're gluten-free, you could use cornstarch or some other some other kind of potato starch. Yep. And then you dip it in egg, which will stick to the flour. The egg would not stick to a wet piece of fish.
Right.
And then once the egg is on there, that's like your glue. And then you put the outside, which in this case is polenta.
And why polenta? And why not cornmeal, for instance?
Well, and I'm adding some seasoning as I answer you. It's polenta because it has bigger pieces, and I found that if I do a cornmeal breading with all of, like when I do the anglaise process like this, it is a little too hard, and it's like too thick of a crust, but with the little particles, the rougher pieces of the polenta, it comes apart more easily under your fork. So it's a pleasant crunch. It's not like a awkward crust that breaks apart in one piece.
Right,
so
right.
I like it.
That's
you could try.
Thoughtful way. Yeah.
You can definitely try cornmeal, but it's going to be a better. Honestly, if you're doing cornmeal, I would just like dip the fish quickly in cornmeal, just do a drudge. But the polenta has a nice little crunch, and we're talking all about contrast in this dish.
It's full of contrast.
So this will contrast. That texture will contrast the silkiness of the fish and of the potatoes. So
I can't wait. And I guarantee you guys haven't. Well, maybe not. Maybe some of you have tried this ahead of time. If you have, oh my gosh, drop some comments in there. But this is a brand new. Karen developed this recipe for the class. So and I'm laying bets that you probably haven't breaded an oily fish like this before, because like we were saying, traditionally it's going to be the flaky, dry. It's going to be your Pacific cod. It's going to be even your halibut, your rockfish. So it's fun, and it's a way to succeed at this because you cracked the code. I think you cracked the Da Vinci's code.
Well, let's wait to say that until you try it.
Well, I'll pretend if you didn't.
But yes, I feel good about it.
No, I
and this
know
has
you
been
did.
tested, and it was also 6-year-old approved.
Right.
I will tell you
You
that.
had a
counts for
6-year-old that
lunch.
tried this,
I
and they're
did.
like, well, that's a testament.
Yeah.
The 6-year-old's gonna love this. And fun, like, and speaking of kids, like a fun activity to do, like this, what Karen's doing right now.
Right here.
Such a fun way to get your
Yes.
kids involved in the kitchen. It's basic. You got 3 stages, 1, 2, 3.
Tap the flour off
Mhm.
and dip it in the flour quickly. Give it a little egg bath. Dump it right into and drip that extra off there. And then dump it into the polenta. And you are golden.
Beautiful.
Just like that.
Look at how golden that is.
I'm going to do that with all of these little pieces.
So let's see, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, so different sizes of fish that you guys might be getting, right?
Mm-hmm.
These are exceptionally small pieces of sablefish, but you guys will probably generally be getting, you know, about 1 inch maybe at most. But there's some out there, they're going to be really thick. And what you're explain how this is, you kind of crack the code on that too, of like how we can adapt this recipe for thicker fish.
Right. So if you have a really thick piece of fish, or if you have, you know, even sometimes in a fillet, there's a lot of difference between one end to the other. And if you have, you know, if it's getting towards like 1 inch or more, the recipe instructions for this won't quite apply. You'll need a little bit more cook time.
Mhm.
You can, once you've browned the crust in the pan, then you can pop that even in your pan into the oven for a few minutes. Just have the oven on 350 or whatever it's on if you're doing other stuff. And then it can sit there for like even 10 minutes. And, you know, this fish really won't dry out.
That's the thing with sable. You can overcook it, but it is really hard.
You have to like kind of like really forget it.
Like for a day.
Like go
to
walk,
bed.
Go to bed. You know, read your kid a book or two.
Oh, speaking of kids, hi. Okay, Everett's gonna go to the bathroom, everybody. I won't come in. I wouldn't. Think of it.
So anyway.
So yeah, so you can pop it in the oven,
Yep.
and you can finish that for a thicker piece.
Exactly.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
And this, I will say that this way of cooking it, I think, is also really, it's kind of more foolproof. Sablefish can be a finicky fish to cook. But because of the crust on this, it actually captures some of the steam and moisture in the fish. And so it kind of evens out the cooking process a little bit, which is really cool.
So kind of like a cast. That
Yeah,
we're putting
it
over
is. And then also this cast is now on my fingers.
I'm going to take this opportunity.
What we're talking about.
I'm going to take this opportunity to tell a chef that you should have dredged with one hand, and dry with the other. That was the one thing that I learned from my mom making fish fries.
Yeah, well, I just went for it. Is that Martini, I tell you?
I know, yeah, a couple of sips of it. Want me to get this out of your way?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Thanks.
So let's do a giveaway. Why not? What should we do first? Should we do you guys tell me, you want to do the fish giveaway or the field company's cast iron giveaway first? First person to answer, that's the one we're going to do. It is more fun with crusty fingers.
Yes.
Okay, cast iron first. Okay, cast iron. Woo! There's a lot for the cast iron. Let's do it. Okay.
I mean, quite honestly, I was hoping that you would have forgotten that you sent me home with one of these cast irons, so I don't blame people for being excited about it.
No, that's yours now.
No.
Okay. And the winner of the Field Company Beautiful Cast Iron Skillet. Ooh, that's hot. Don't pick that one up, Richie. Good Lord.
Ooh-wee.
Is going to be Caroline Lawrence. Caroline Lawrence, you're the proud winner of a beautiful piece of cast iron. We will we'll contact you, and we'll get you your cast iron. Good job, you guys. Everybody give her a round of applause. Good job. How are the potatoes looking?
They are coming. I just turned up the heat a little bit so that they can really start to get a nice sear.
Beautiful.
I'm actually going to add a little bit of their confit oil to the pan too.
Oh, that's a good idea.
All about recycling oils, especially if you use something to confit, you can also use it to cook. That way you don't feel, it feels really wasteful sometimes when you're frying things or confing things. You have all this oil on hand, but there are lots of ways to incorporate it into everyday cooking. Just like this, adding it back to the potatoes. And then it already has that nice like potato sweetness and starch in there. It's going to do a wonder on these potatoes. Meanwhile, we've got this pan nicely heating up for the fish. I think, Richie, would you say we're ready to go for the fish? I'm ready for it.
I'll give my hand approval.
Hand test.
Let's do it.
All right, I'm going to add a little olive oil to the pan, and why not? I'm also going to add a little bit of this potato oil to the pan.
Yes.
It's just going to be a marriage of all the oils.
Beautiful.
And it is nice and hot. Not too hot though. I'm going to start with my biggest pieces of fish. Add those in first.
And again, the heat's coming up slowly, right? So there's a trick. Don't blast. Don't have this ripping hot and throw your fish in.
Well, especially
with this one particular, right?
Well, particularly, I would say that's especially true for fish that doesn't have a crust on it. This one, we don't want it to be too low with a crust going on it. We don't want that to kind of fall off the fish.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah.
But definitely, if you're just gently cooking fish that doesn't have anything on it, we kind of want to be mindful of that. Bring up from a low heat.
And the keys that you're looking for when you're frying the fish.
Yeah.
So you don't undercook it. It's because that's really the biggest problem right here would be, or the biggest concern would be undercooking your sablefish, right?
Yep. It is very easy to undercook sablefish, and it is very unpleasant.
It's not. Yeah, that's a good point. Like undercooked sablefish is going to turn you off from sablefish immediately.
We don't want that to happen.
We don't. This is one of the most delicate, beautiful,
I love it,
incredible fish in the world.
It's so elegant.
It
really is elegant.
Yeah, and versatile, really too. Yeah. As we're showing you now, you can bread it even.
Yep.
So the trick really, what are you looking for when you're? I'll let you do the potatoes first.
Yeah, hold on. These potatoes need my attention for a second. They're nicely brown on the bottom. I'm going to just give them a little flip. And I'm probably going to add a little more of that confit oil, actually. You don't have to go.
Give you a dab?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks. So what I'm doing in the meantime with the fish, we're letting it cook kind of a good part of the way on the first side, which is typical for fish anyway. That's how I usually like to cook it. And it also applies here. So we're cooking it most of the way on this first side. It's going to develop a nice little crust, and it shouldn't burn unless you're cooking it on too high of a heat anyway. It's just going to get kind of golden brown, and you'll be able to see it kind of around the edges of the bottom of the fish. And when we start to see that, then we can flip it over and then do the same on the other side.
Perfect. And again, I'll repeat it. If you have a thicker piece, do the same thing, but then finish it in a preheated oven. How many degrees? Like 350?
350 is fine, yeah.
It's a common 350.
Yep.
Perfect. And with the potatoes, are we looking for any signs, any road marks, any signposts that we need to find for knowing when they're ready?
I mean, they're already cooked. I'm just looking for a good amount. Just as we keep talking about textural contrast, I'm looking for a good amount of brown. But we don't want the brown to happen too fast. We don't want it to just kind of be like burnt quickly on one side. We actually want the sugars from the potato to caramelize a little bit. The sugars and the starch, and that's what creates the beautiful brown crust on a potato. Right. So we're going to be a little bit patient with it. I turn the heat back down a little bit here, and it can just sit while this fish is going.
You want to check on it?
I'm just showing you something I like.
Okay.
Okay, so that fish. Just adjusting the temperature here a little bit.
You want to show me?
Looks like we have a demonstration happening right now.
Here, come here. Here, come on.
I think more, but yeah, that's good.
All right, this has been chosen as a bathing suit forever. Is this a good choice? The circled one. It's a little elephant with a rainbow.
Oh.
I think that's a pretty good summer swimsuit. That's the one.
Yeah.
I like
say hi?
it.
Anybody want to wave?
It's more clothes.
More? Okay, go enjoy.
Look.
It's girls' night downstairs as we're doing a cooking class. They're picking up fun summer clothes.
I kind of want to be doing that too.
I kind of do too. It sounds great.
I know.
Need a new bathing suit.
Look at these.
That one too. Perfect. We'll get sandals too. It'll be a whole outfit.
All right, so I'm just gonna turn this up a little bit. We want to hear that little crackle.
And while that fish is cooking, let's do the fish giveaway.
Oh yeah.
Shall we? Shall we, everyone? Let's do it.
Where are you, Mom?
If anybody hasn't met my daughter, that's Ever, and she, if you want more of Ever, go to our website and watch Wild at Home episodes. She's usually in them once or twice, and she's the best.
The best kind of cameo.
She's the best. I love her. Yeah. All right, let's do a fish giveaway. All right, who's it gonna be? Oh boy, this guy's gonna be excited. But he's also gonna be disappointed because I'm gonna butcher his name, and I'm so sorry.
Uh-oh.
Nick Falchult? Falchult? Nick Falchult. Fauchald. You won a box of fish, Nick. Good on you. Full child. My wife just hollered from me the other room. Just a better grasp of the English language than I do. Good job, Nick. We'll contact you, and we will. We're going to send out a follow-up email, everybody, to thank you. And in that, we'll have your name in there, Nick, and just respond back to us. Same goes for you, Caroline. Respond back to us so we get your info, and then we'll get you your fish and your cast iron pan. Yes, sweetie, what is it?
What are you making?
We are making. You want to see it? We're making polenta crusted
Yeah.
biz potatoes.
Do those look good to you?
Polenta crusted sablefish. Oh, so good.
When they're all done, I'm going to be in bed, so tell me when they're done and I'll try one.
Will you?
Ooh.
I'll save some.
Okay.
You want to eat it in bed?
Yeah.
Oh, fish in bed.
Because I'll be in bed.
I didn't even think about this. You could eat this dish in bed if you wanted.
It's so versatile.
It's
We were saying
so
it's so
versatile.
versatile.
Eat it in the car. Eat it in the bathroom. Maybe not. Eat it in bed. I'll bring you some. I'll save you some, okay?
Okay.
Run along now, little one.
So this is getting a nice crust on the bottom. And give it another minute or two on the side.
Nice sizzling happening.
Yeah.
Now. I can really hear it.
Yep, no, this is what we're in business.
Awesome.
And definitely in business on these potatoes. I'm also going to add some bitter greens to the potatoes. You don't have to do that. I just like to add, you could also just do a vegetable on the side here. But I have some lovely arugula. And when the potatoes are almost done, I'm just going to throw that in. You could also chop up some fresh watercress. That's a good time of year right now for watercress. You could throw some of that in there, even just raw, and just kind of mix it in with your potatoes. That's actually going to be the base of our plate, and then we're going to put the fish right on top of that. My mom taught me to eat my vegetables, so I am enforcing that on all of you right now.
And this is the time of the season to be able to do that.
It
Finally,
is.
we've come out of winter. If
Yes.
you're in the Midwest, it's been a long winter. Brian had a great question. What the preferred way to prepare the skin? I mean, that was my quick and dirty way to do it, which is just butter and salt in a pan, and it will crisp up really nicely.
Yep.
Or oil, whatever fat you have.
Yep, the salt will help release the liquid or the moisture from the skin, and as that moisture releases, then it will start to get crispy.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I'm going to brush my
All right.
teeth for you until I get the fish, so I have a problem.
Brush your teeth. What do you guys think? Should she brush her teeth now and then eat the fish, or should she wait to brush her teeth?
Ooh.
A dad says brush your teeth now, and then if you're still hungry, try the fish later.
Ooh.
Or we can try it tomorrow. This is a big decision, parents. She's only 5.5, so I'm still new to parenting. If you guys are sage parents out there, sage wisdom, throw it at me. Let me know what we should do.
Let's start flipping.
Oh, look at that. So we're going to do a little flipper roast.
I'll stick with it if I'm still hungry.
That's perfect.
Well,
That's a good, what a responsible
decision-making.
decision.
My goodness.
She's gonna wait, or she's gonna brush her teeth. Great. Okay. Put it away here. What can I do? Can I pull the potatoes are good in there?
Yeah, maybe you could add a dash more salt, and
Sure.
maybe just throw where I left some room in the pan. You can put the arugula in there.
Perfect. Now let's talk as Karin's flipping here. If you have cast iron, or if you're like you're in the market for cast iron, and you're maybe a little hesitant, like I'm worried that it's gonna, I'm not gonna take care of it, or I don't know what to do with it. There are just a really couple tried and true ways to take care of your cast iron.
Mm-hmm.
And again, fuel companies send their cast iron pre-seasoned twice. And then you can, if you want, do a little extra seasoning like onions and garlic with some olive oil and just get that going to get a nice little base in there. You don't need to. But then in terms of cooking it, if you have something stuck on it, a nice bristly pad will get most of those things off. Just regular running water, bristly pad, and then you got some really stubborn ones like some chainmail or something metal. It's not going to really harm your cast iron. Rub that off, and then no soap, right?
No soap. No soap, no soaking.
No soap.
Those
no
are
soap.
the major rules.
It's that easy.
Honestly, I use cast iron for really almost all of my cooking at home.
Yeah.
And it's a great everyday cookware. You don't have to be too worried about it. And if you don't have chainmail to clean with, you can also use a little bit of salt. You can make like a little salt scrub. Put some coarse kosher salt in the bottom of your pan when it's a little bit warm. Take a paper towel or another towel that's not too precious and rub it around in there. And then you're going to and then you can just simply fling it off. It'll act as an exfoliant, basically. So the really stubborn bits, anything really sticky, can be removed by that. And then just follow up with some oil, always. A little bit of oil.
Yep. So you dry, usually put it back on a little heat, like low heat. Dry that with a little heat, and then while it's still kind of warm, rub some oil on it, whatever oil you got laying around. It's fine. It's that easy. And then you just leave it until next time.
Look at that.
Oh my gosh.
Those guys look
Fine.
good.
This is so exciting too.
All right, I'm gonna call it on these potatoes. Turning off the heat here. And let's give this fish a little poke to see where we're at. Ooh, that's looking good. I'm gonna call it. There's one big piece right here that I might want to finish in the oven, but the rest of it is looking good.
All right, I'll get some plates here.
Sounds good. So I'm just gonna plate what is ready. Oh, looks like I swapped my spatulas halfway through too.
It's all right.
Classy.
Is there any, so we're going to be wrapping up here. We're coming, we're at about 2 minutes over, but we'll probably be wrapping up in the next 5 minutes. So any last minute questions, drop them in for us. We can either handle them or Grace or John can field them. Did you cook parsley with your fish? That's from Grace, actually. There was a little parsley in there.
Yeah, it's because I went kind of crazy on the parsley. I just put it in with the arugula, and it ended up in with the potatoes.
Good enough. Perfect. The smell is really great, you guys. I wish you could smell it. It's awesome.
All right, now I'm going to spoon some gremolata on top. Like, by some, I mean a lot of it.
Look at that.
Okay. And for good measure, sprinkle a little bit of lemon juice.
A little bit. Yes. Everyone's asking if class is over soon. Yes. Soon.
Soon, because we're done plating.
There you go.
All right.
I'll do a little switcheroo. Take that. I'll take this. Oh.
All right.
Give him a little. There you go.
Oh, there we go.
We did just for you.
I have never felt more like Vanna White.
It's beautiful. It's truly beautiful. Contrast of texture, flavor to no end, right?
Right.
Oh my gosh. All right, so we talked about this 5-6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And you called me after you had tried it. You're like, I got it. I figured it out, Richie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now.
There's that contrast. You got that texture right away.
The brightness of the gremolata picks it all up.
Right.
The crunchiness of the polenta is key. I would wager bets to say you might need to do the polenta, and if you only have cornmeal, go out and buy polenta.
But really, polenta is worth it, and it's worth it to have anyway. And then you can use it as grits for breakfast.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I'm into this.
knocked it out. Knocked it out of the park. You guys. And then the potato, so smooth
Mm-hmm.
and rich
Mm-hmm.
because of the confit. Oh,
Mhm.
man. Well, if you guys just want to watch us eat for the next 5 minutes, because it's going to take me, I'm going to enjoy this. Oh my gosh. Well, I won't make you guys do that because you guys got to go make your own.
You should, really. This is a great back pocket, kind of special summer meal.
It really, really is.
With a crisp white wine, a glass of white wine, something seafood friendly. I think this would be really, you could go dry like an Albarino with this. I can't even remember what I told you earlier.
You
but
told me a German Riesling.
A German Riesling, that too. Or an
That works.
Albarino. Pigpool.
Or a Pilsner.
Or a Pilsner.
Or just
Or
a
a
nice,
Martini.
nice, beautiful Martini.
Or water if you're more that speed.
Yeah, that's fine too. Whatever is going to complement this.
Mm.
So let me just wrap this up for everyone. Sablefish can be breaded,
Mhm.
and we did it, and it's incredible. And I highly recommend you do it if you have picky eaters in your family. They're like, I don't like fish. I only eat breaded fish. Well, here's a way to sneak in some really special sablefish into their diet.
Mhm.
Let me see here. We got a couple winners today. Caroline and what's your name? Nick. Sorry, Nick. Caroline and Nick. Congratulations. Thanks everybody for joining us. I'm gonna put my plate down to properly say goodbye. This was so much fun. If you guys have any questions about how to cook this, it's all on the web page, Wild in the Galley. You can get the access to the recipe right there. Thanks to Field Company for providing us these beautiful pans. I've been cooking with them for a long time. You have, I will continue probably for a lifetime. It's that kind of pan. So thanks for that. If you guys are interested in cast iron, head over to Field Company. They're good friends of ours. And we trust what they do because it's aligned with what we do, which is incredible product. Let's see, what else? If you don't know about Sitka salmon shares, if you're new, go to the website. There's a code on the screen. It's WITG25, and that'll be $25 off your first month's share. And that's, just go to town. See if it makes sense for your family. It probably does if you eat fish.
And if you don't, you should.
Yeah, and if you don't, what's wrong? Keep going. It's important. That's it, you guys. Cooking should be fun. If it's not, you're probably doing something wrong. So that's what we're here to help you out. And thanks for joining. We'll see you next time. We don't know what we're going to do, but we'll figure it out. So that's it. Stay wild.